Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. That was a little backwards, but welcome to the personal development and training. And here we are, the last Tuesday of the month. I don't know about you guys, but man, April was full, wasn't it? So many people. I had people reaching out to me. It was just a full month, and I cannot believe it, but the last Tuesday of the month is with a crescendo, where we get to listen to one of our leaders and learn what's their story about, is how did they come to be here and now in this point in period in a place in their particular life? What did they traverse through? What trials and tribulations did they move through? And what helped them move through that? So I always like to have people share things. I'm looking at my notes here because I say it so better, but I say so much better in writing. So to personal development is for our team leaders to share their important things about their life, of how they transitioned through adversity, how they progressed in their personal development and learned what they must do to assure the continuous forward momentum. I have our leaders come on here to do that so that where you can basically listen to and go, wow, that's just like me, and maybe that will help me. So without any further talking from myself, let's get to our special guest today, Leah. Leah, I want to say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, first of all, with the beautiful Wendy Morgan. And I can't wait to see you in next couple months.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes, in Houston. Yep. I'm working my best to get there. Both me and my youngest daughter are going to be showing up because Leah might have me as a neighbor soon. So we're going to be looking around for some places to move. So
good.
So
well, hopefully I'll see you in Tampa before that.
Yes, everybody invite, even if you're not going to be there, invite your people, invite new people. That's what it's really about. It's actually about and for new people to basically be exposed and ask the questions they want to ask. Thank you very much, Leah.
Yes.
So,
I'm again excited to be here. I'm joining you guys from Houston, Texas. I am in the Central Time Zone, and I love that I have friends in every time zone in the world. It's been exciting, and it's all because of Lifewave.
mm-hmm.
All because of Lifewave. It's changed my life immensely, you guys, immensely. So I grew up just about 30 miles east of Houston, and we lived very moderately. Looking back at it, not knowing this growing up, right? It was a middle-class family. We didn't want for things, but we didn't have a lot of things, and that's just what we knew. So not ever talking about money and finances, I can see how over the course of the last 45, 50 years has shaped my way of thinking, because that's something that we really have to work on when we talk about personal development, is our mindset. And so I can look back. I don't ever regret things that I did. I know that everything has happened in my life exactly according to the way God had written it out. So I don't have to stress about the past. And that also lets me not have to worry about the future, because I know that's already written out as well. But looking back again, it's always easier to do that, right? But not feeling any of this going through it when I was in my 30s and 40s. But for me personally, I watched my mom as the caregiver, and my dad worked. So there was a part of me and my mindset that grew up with thinking that whatever dreams that I had, I would have to find someone to help me get those dreams and make those dreams come true. So looking back at how I was programmed in that way, not intentionally, of course, I made decisions that has led me to where I'm at today. And you guys, I don't want to go through everything I went through to get where I'm at today, but where I'm at today is I don't have to depend on anyone else to make my dreams come true. And, I spent the last 30 years of my corporate career, just a little bit on my work background. My background is architecture and interior design. I was an interior designer for 30 years. I worked in places like Luanda, Angola, Africa. I worked in Bata, Equatorial Guinea, Africa. I've lived in Cabo San Lucas, San Jose del Cabo, Mexico. So I've lived in a lot of different places. And
So
yeah.
Leah, was that due to your work, or is that just you deciding to move and travel?
That was due to my work. That was due to a decision I made 30 years ago that fit into a man's life. And I've got to be really, when Lifewave came into my lap, I was finishing up my architecture and interior design career. I was in outside sales, if you will. What I had transitioned to, the last relationship I left, I worked for his company and lived together, all the things. And then all of a sudden that ended one day. Mm-hmm. And I had nothing, right? I mean, it was all just like that in the blink of an eye. So I finished the last 3 years of my career actually meeting with architects and interior designers and developing relationships. That's one of the things, or another thing Lifewave has taught me is that, you guys, this business, this life is about relationships. God wants us to all be in relationships with people, and he wants us to help people. And looking back over the course of my time in the last relationship I was in, I didn't think I needed relationships. I didn't think I needed other relationships because I was starved for some quality time there. But it's little things that I used to think that really stick into my head now are little things like that. Mm-hmm. This is about relationships and helping people. And, and I've sat in church for a long time and said, what was my purpose? There had to be more than going to work, paying the bills, doing the things, going to church, tithing, volunteering, all the things. There had to be something else. But, then they were also saying, but please don't make it too difficult, right? Don't make it really hard. And then here in 3 years with this one company, Lifewave falls into my lap. And I knew immediately what this was. I did about an hour research and knew immediately what I had, because what came over me, the most overwhelming feeling I had was, had I had this 2 years earlier, my dad would still be here. It would have been a different story. But again, I don't harp on that. My dad lived a great life, but I have this now, and this is important, and people need to know about this. Mm-hmm. And after 4 months with the corporate job, you guys, I was all along, I got introduced to, we talk about Lifewave, my personal development that I do personally. Dr. Stasney has been instrumental in my life. First thing she put me into what?
So speaking of Stasney, now you've known her a lot longer than just this particular company, correct?
No.
No way.
No.
I thought you guys knew each other from way back when.
So no, I knew Laura. Laura and
Laura
were in another company before, and Laura called me. I was one of the first people Laura called when she left that event with Stasney, and I Zoomed with Dr. Stasney the next day. And then 2 weeks later, the first time I met you was the first time I met Dr. Stasney in the airport. We jumped on a plane and flew to Long Beach. And no, that was the first time I met her. But you guys, she's amazing. But she turned me on to Abraham Hicks. Yeah. And that is about mindset. Mm-hmm. That you've got to get your mind, you have to get your mind right. You can't talk about what happened yesterday or worry. I left the corporate job and after 4 months because I was so stressed. I didn't want to live in stress. Was it scary when I jumped off? Yes, you guys, I was by myself, like with no corporation writing my paycheck. Now it was just up to me. And there was struggle there. It was absolutely struggle for the first 3 or 4 or 5 months. But I always knew I could see where I was going. I had people like Wendy. I was following people like Marcy, and they were just saying, do what we do. We've been doing this. This is what's working. And that's what I did. Just do what other people do that have succeeded you. And you can't fail because we'll lock arms with you. Wendy's in my upline. I love that. I love that everything I do is helping Wendy grow her business, because guess what? Wendy's going to turn around and help me grow my business. And I'm going to help everybody all down the line. And it spreads like wildfire.
It really does. It really does. So you had your corporate job, but let's go, if you don't mind, let's go back a little further. So where were you born? And where'd you grow up? And what was your home life about?
I grew up in a little town just east of Houston called Baytown. Highlands is where it is. It's halfway between Houston and Beaumont, if anyone knows where that is. I am one of 5 kids, and my parents had my brother and sister, and then 10 years later had 3 more kids. So I see myself as the middle child of that second set of kids. But, when we talk about middle child, we talk about a lot of different traits, right? And I see that now. The pleaser. I was always the pleaser growing up. I didn't want to inconvenience people. I went to high school about a 45-minute bus trip from my house, and I didn't play in any extracurricular things after school because I didn't want to inconvenience someone to have to pick me up, right? But again, it was a moderate home. It was a loving home. There was nothing we didn't want. We were in the era of playing outside, and my parents honk the horn when it's time to come home. I had a great childhood and really close with my siblings, with the exception of the oldest brother. He went off to the Army. And after that, I tried my hand at college, but it wasn't for me the first go round, and ended up getting a job. My first job was at a grocery store, the cashier, and, tried to excel in everything, right? Had to be the fastest checker for the day or the month. Then I got into the business, the office work, and did that. And got married in there a couple times and left some really good jobs. And I had an opportunity after one marriage to go back to school. And that was scary. I was going back to college when I was 38 years old. That's a little scary. And then getting into interior design on top of that with all the young girls or guys, it was a little intimidating. But for me to get that degree was probably the first really freeing moment I had, in that I am good enough.
Wow. So what do you think transposed there to take you from over excelling, over pleasing to, no, I'm good enough right where I'm at. I'm enough. What did that for you?
Honestly, Lifewave.
Wow. Okay.
I haven't always, the person you guys see today, this person was not here 5 years ago.
Oh.
Just, it's been that short amount of time. I honestly, Lifewave, it is literally changed every aspect of who I am.
So, I know that we could probably definitely swap stories and go, yeah, exactly. But for others, what does that mean for you? So Lifewave did that for you. In what way?
I've always said, and I'm just going to spit out little things.
Yeah.
It really is a lot of little things. It's not a lot of big things. I've always said I'm not a reader, but Lifewave, the more I've learned, the more I help people, the more I want to learn, the more I want to help people. And so now I can say I've become a reader. Like I've read these books in the last 12 months. That's huge for me. So it's changed for me in that way. I don't want to go into the patch itself, but I've been using this technology. It'll be 2 years in May. And just that the cellular connection, if I could be where I am now in terms of how I feel about myself 30 years ago, wow. Talk about setting the world on fire. But you know, that goes back to it. We are where we are, and I'm perfectly okay with where I am. Just
But I totally hear you. I mean, gosh, my story really does coincide so well. But you know, the same note, and I'm sure this goes to your mind. Gosh, if I had this, like you said, 30 years ago, so therefore that even makes me want to reach out to those youngsters and go, you might feel great now, but you can feel even better. You know, and so I always think about them too. And I'm sure because you're such a server. I mean, I see you giving so much community service. It's such a beautiful thing that you do, or everything that you do.
you know, like I said, that's been a huge part of my life. You know, I watched my dad do it, and I really think that I got that from him. But what we have is so much more than that. It is so much more than literally helping people change their life. It doesn't get any better than that. We can give away all the money. We can give that, but the feeling I get from that versus someone calling me and saying, oh my God, I'm out of pain, and you're crying, and you're both crying together. It's those feelings. It's, you know, I tell people, do what brings joy into your world. It's so easy. And when you can feel that feeling, truly feel that feeling, you always want to feel that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. It's just so wonderful. So let's come back. So you went to college, you got, and I think it's finding the self-worth is because you constantly hear within this beautiful, I mean, this is not supposedly about, you know, Lifewave, this is just about you, but nevertheless, is that we constantly get constant reinforcement from everybody else, because I've not really met one person that's not of heart within this company. And I'm so grateful to Marcy, and I'm sure you're the same thing. And I'm sure just that constant support, that constant, they're always there for you, constant, oh yeah, always uplifting, constant. That's, you know, that's a great question, regardless what it is, always uplifting you. That's probably, I would presume, help you. It definitely has helped me feel more like, okay, I can do this. Yeah, this is okay.
Well, and you're right. It definitely, but it goes back to feeling, right? You do that because it makes you feel good on the inside. And, you know, plugging in with Marcy, plugging in on your calls, plugging into the Patching podcast, and listening to how it's changing people. That's another thing that's really changed for me too, Wendy, is I've become a better listener. And that's huge. And I used to be one of those people that something would pop into my head and I knew I was not going to remember, and I needed to just spit it out right then. I don't know if you were ever one of those people, but I really am a better listener. And I attribute that to everything about this company, this community, this family of people that will inspire you and will lift you up wherever you are.
Yeah, I am guilty at that, or I was more so guilty with that. If you're like, oh my God, I'm going to forget, I have to go ahead and quickly interject and interrupt. And I've learned with the company, especially with sharing product or listening to people, that now I shut my mouth and go, you know what, if it's meant to be, when it's my turn to talk, God will speak through. I'm just going to trust. If it doesn't show up and I don't remember, then it wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh my gosh, yes, girl, we are on the same frequency right now.
So let's go ahead and kind of backtrack a little bit. Was there anything in your life that you felt was, you know, as we, you know, I read a lot of spiritual books, and one was called The Dark Night of the Soul, you know, where we just were at our wits' end and, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of where I'm at? Or, you know, taking care of a family member, just something that was just extra on your plate. Have you ever been there? And what was that about, if you have?
Yes. And a lot of you will probably be surprised, but I'll share this. That happened to me just recently within the last 60 days, believe it or not. My siblings and I, the oldest of the last three, my brother, he hasn't lived a very good life. And I don't want to go into all the details. It's negative energy, and I don't talk about it, not because I can't handle it. I can compartmentalize it a lot better. And it is what it is, and it was, and whatever is going to come, I'm open to receive, and I can get through whatever it is. But we had to get him out of my mom's house. It was an awful situation, and my mom is 90 years old, and he was living homeless, and we got him into a facility. He has since been removed from the program. We've had to gut my mom's house, just all these things, you guys. And it was not easy. It was very emotional on everyone. And it was what was so emotional for me was watching how it was so emotional for my mom, because she had a lot of attachment. I personally don't have that attachment with a child that a lot of people do. I don't have that undying love. I'm like, I can say, get the hell out, right? But I don't have what moms do, right? But it was not a fun situation. But I always know that God is going to walk me through whatever it is, and that whatever I'm in it for is for a reason, and there's a lesson in it. And so that's what I always know. And I try not to let those things suck my energy, because I know where I'm going. There's too many people that I need to help, and I've got to keep moving forward. So it's become a lot easier for me to compartmentalize, and you just have to know that nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. And I did that answer that?
No, absolutely. So it sounds like to me that being a coach as such, you did what I always tell people to do, because a lot of times we're trained to engulf ourselves with the drama. We're trained actually in the society, drama, to be sucked into, be addicted to, truthfully, to drama. And also to really look at our external environment and, again, to pull ourselves into it and just, we're involved in everybody else's life. But it sounds like you already learned the wonderful tool of, I am going to be a witness to this. I am going to be simply objective, just watch us without getting my emotions involved. I'm not going to get drawn into the drama. Just look at it black and white. It is where it's at. This is what we need to do. Would you say that's kind of like how you did it, basically?
That is how I did it. But again, girl, I am that person now. It's been all of the personal development. And it goes back to things that make me feel that feeling of joy. And you guys know what I'm talking about. That twinge of just that little butterfly, that joy, whatever it is. And when you can focus on always having a feeling of joy, you become a lot more aware of the situations that can suck the joy out of your moment, because all we have is our moment right now. And we can't feel stress and feel joy at the same time. You can't feel two things at one time. So you've got to focus on what you want to feel. But yeah, that's exactly what I did. And I'm so thankful again for everyone that's been in my path to help me get through the way that I did.
Just now, and I'm sure you're aware of it. So for those of you that watch Abraham Hicks, she basically was quoting Abraham Hicks, which is, if you were in high vibration, you're in alignment with your higher self soul. When you are in lower vibration of stress, anger, frustration, rage, that's out of alignment to your truer self of who you are. When you're in alignment and when you're feeling joy, immediately I'm in alignment. So you use your emotions as a barometer. If something doesn't feel good, get out. That's non-alignment to your true self of where your soul wants to be on that path. I just love it because Abraham Hicks was a very solid foundation of a couple years when I was going through some tough times myself. So that it's definitely great.
It's a great place for people to start, but you've got to be open. It's a different way of thinking. And then, for me, like, I can't ever believe when I didn't believe the way I was like, I wish I knew this, like I said, 30 years ago. Dr. Stacy's been doing all of this for 30 years. And, but that's okay. We are where we are when we're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
The story's already been written. We don't have to stress about it.
Exactly. So what would you say is your strength, and what would you say is perhaps your weaknesses, and how do you exploit your strengths, and therefore how do you work on your weaknesses?
I've been growing so much. I was a group fitness instructor that I've just recently stepped back from doing, just because of time, because what I do with Lifewave, this is more important than that.
Mhm.
So growing into being a coach and being a leader, that was a big aspect of it as well. And I want to inspire people. I think I've grown into having that as a strength, but continuing to grow with it, right? That's definitely, I'm always open to growing with it, but to inspire people, it is never too late. It is never too late for whatever is happening in your life, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental. It's not too late to think, to do things a different way, just a little bit of a shift.
Mhm.
My weakness, I would have to say, and I'm going to be a little bit more pinpoint and fine point into it with my business, is my follow-ups. I tend to procrastinate about that, and I don't know why. I know all the things, and once I get in and get doing it and get it all done, but I constantly work on that. One of the ways that I started working on that, and I am a presidential director, so as you know, when you get to that level, you have teams underneath of you. So I've got a lot of teams in a lot of places, and that's a lot of my time. And I've totally lost my train of thought on where that was going, but in
So
terms of
your weakness as far as following up.
the follow-up. So what I just recently implemented, we had the second one today. It's called my team meeting. I look back at when I was in the last corporate job I was in, Monday morning, 7 a.m., the call, 14 people on. We had to be prepared. We had to have our goals written down for the week. We had to talk about what we did or didn't do last week, what we were going to accomplish this week, right? We had to do that every Monday morning. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try to incorporate a little bit of that. So we get on, my team and I, whoever wants to show up. The first day we had 13. Today we had 9. We map out our plan for the week. What is our goal? We write them down on a piece of paper, and then we are accountable for it the following week, right? So I've watched another team with Laura go presidential director, and someone under her go presidential director 2 weeks later, after doing this for 45 days, once a week. So that's one of the things that's going to help me to walk through some of those fears. Organization is key, and with all of that, discipline is huge. Discipline's a big factor in that as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me, so finding either accountability partner, but in your case, you guys have like accountability team where you guys kind of support each other and kind of hold each other. So, like, I've got to follow up, you got to bite that bullet and just move forward and just do it. Even though I'd rather just, go out in the garden and maybe garden for a while.
Or wash the clothes.
Exactly. Wash the dishes. That's always a fun one. Anything but, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too great. And so, and also with your strengths, you definitely are using them consistently. And it sounds like you said, you're inspiring others to basically become leaders like yourself, by teaching them, by role modeling exactly what you do, so they see how it's done. So your strength is definitely exploding into many other people and inspiring other people to do the same with their people. That is beautiful.
Well, and I go back to the corporate job. I do a lot of events.
Yeah, right.
I'll drive to San Antonio twice a month. It's a 3-hour drive. And of course, you guys know it takes 10 minutes to set up our table, right? And do events. I love meeting new people. I love it. You never know. You just never know who's going to drop in your path. You know, we're taking all these actions every day. We're planting all the seeds, and then things start sprouting, and all of a sudden you just never know. So it's been exciting to get to meet people and develop new relationships from doing events and introducing people to this technology.
What was one of the greatest memorable moments that you can think of doing events? Because I know for me, I don't do events, and I'm sure other people don't. And so what is the, what's the, God, I just can't wait to get out there and, do another event because it's just so great. What is the allure for you? And, I've got a good friend that does the same thing. So what is your lure to it? And what is some of a good story that you can share as far as what you walked away from? Because yeah, events is, fantastic. Yes, you're sharing the magic of the product and you're making new connections, but you walk away with so much more. I know you do.
Well, the events that I do on the first and third Sunday of every month in San Antonio, it's a holistic, metaphysical kind of market. So it's a lot of natural healers. And people come just to be in the room because of the energy of the room, because of the energy. And I'd been doing these markets for the last 15 months, twice a month. And one of the most memorable things for me is when my customers come back and see me every month when I'm there. Again, it goes back to the relationships and them sharing their stories with me. And, Pamela, and, I mean, I just can name all the people that have been a part of this journey with me. So yeah, I love that, the connections. It's about the connections, and the events are so simple to do. Again, I was doing that in the corporate world. The only difference is I was lugging in thousands of pounds of glass samples, right? And so this was an easy fit for me. I have a lot more to talk about with this. I didn't really care what the solar heat gain coefficient was of your building, of the glass. But I can talk about this because I've absorbed it, because I want to know more.
And it's so applicable to anybody and to everybody, right?
So exciting.
So I know moments ago you went and shared your books, and I know people are wondering, what books are you reading? And so if you could go over each book and kind of why you decided to pick it up and what you gained from it.
You know what? I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have all of these books, and I've read all of these books because Dr. Stasney told me to. And I don't question her. One day I was on the phone with her. She said, you need to go outside, take your shoes off, get in the grass and do some grounding. I said, okay, how long do I need to be out there? She said, 20 minutes. I said, okay. So that's what I started doing. And I started reading this book. And this book, if you guys have not read this book, this is, I wanted to go outside every day and read this book because I wanted to know what the day's lesson was on leadership. And it was done. It takes place in a monk in a Montessori. So
it's called The Servant.
The Servant. The simple story about the true essence of leadership.
Okay.
And
by James Hunter.
Yeah. The true essence of leadership, people, is just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It's a simple little philosophy, but it's a good book. The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murray. That's another one. We talk about mindset, guys. We are what we think about. Had I let the stress of me being behind 4 months in my mortgage and my car note when I jumped off the corporate world into Lifewave, if I had let those 4 months control me, I would still be in those. And I'm not. I am so far past that. I am making more money than I've ever made in my corporate career, you guys.
Okay. So I'm going to put a pause in that one because that's a big topic right there. So you left your corporate and you jumped into Lifewave. So you didn't kind of like bleed them together for a while. You just jumped.
They were bled together for 4 months.
Oh, you did bleed together. So talk about that for people, because I'm sure a lot of people are still working. They're like, oh my gosh, how do I make this work? How do I do this? And how did you make that transition directly into Lifewave?
I just jumped off the boat. I did. It was, I had a little bit of money. I mean, I felt like my last job, I was paying them money to work for them. Basically, I wasn't getting things, car allowance, all the different things. But and it was scary. But I also, it was the faith. It was this, what I knew. And when I resigned from my corporate job, and you guys, I didn't even give this any thought. I was really surprised that this came out of my mouth. But I'm sitting and talking to the owner of this small company that I worked for. I said that interior design, and that was not my passion. I've never felt that in all the 30 years I've done it.
Wow.
That was because it fit into a man's life 30 years ago. But what I knew fit into my life was being healthy, always being physically active. I've always worked out. I've always worked out with personal trainers wherever I lived in the world, because, was it for the right reasons back then? Probably not. It was because I was worried about what I look like, which is what we all grew up doing. I think back about all the diets and all the things I felt like that my whole life. I felt like I've lived on a diet. Now I have a chance for redo, right? Blood's 33, metabolism firing. You better believe I'm going to take care of what God gave me. Different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Back to the book. So right now I'm in the middle of doing The Science of Getting Rich. Again, Wallace Wattles. A lot of this stuff is old stuff, you guys. This book was first written in 1910. We're doing this as a group. Some of the leaders on Dr. Stacy's team. Again, this relates a lot to the Bible. A lot of, God wants us to all live in abundance and enjoy every single day. Science of Getting Rich is amazing. Secrets of a Millionaire Mindset. Honestly, I need to reread it because I can't tell you exactly what it's about, but I know I loved it because I wouldn't still have it sitting out. But I've enjoyed reading. That's been something that's new in my world, and it's opened up my world. It's opened up my world to be able to talk about the things that I get to talk about with people and share with people and hopefully inspire people.
Yeah. So I presume I would like you to share with others grounding, or not earthing.
Earth.
Yeah. So if you would share that a little bit that with others so they understand that.
Well, I'm going to give you the simple version. I know you can probably talk a little bit more metaphysically about it. But it's basically, the earth is stricken by lightning hundreds of thousands of times a day. And it's got all of that negative charge in it. And by us grounding, it gives us the positive charge. That's that negative positive working together. And it just opens up your energy channels. Is that the best way to describe it?
That's pretty good. Yeah. So there's actually a lot of studies to it that if you just lay on the ground with much skin as exposed as you can to the ground, it actually balances out the electromagnetic frequencies in our body, and actually can take away pain. It can balance out your whole body, can completely eliminate disease, the whole 9 yards. But what I love about what you said, and thank you to Dr. Stacy, a little shout out there, is because, I do too have a stack of books, Leah. And, and when we go to bed, my daughter, she sits with me and she goes and reads her books. And I'm like, look at my book and looking at her. And I take my book and I put it on my head and I'm like, I'm going for the osmosis, because I just not in the place to read. And I'm thinking, no, I need to do what you just did. I need to go out and just sit in the grass and, take that 20 minutes, just for you in the grass and the sun, and just soaking it up and read a little bit. So I really appreciate that little
20 minutes is not a very long time. It's really not, but you have to make yourself do it.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself do it. Cause I haven't done it in a couple days, because I'd say, okay, I'm going to do it. I need to get back into my routine. I'm very much about routine. Get up and do my lemon drink and do my journaling and then go out and do it. But I have missed that a few mornings because I get going on something else. But it's so important for that grounding. I feel different. Yes. I know that there's nothing I can't handle. And when I did it on, today's Tuesday? I did do it yesterday. I messaged someone that messaged me back immediately and signed up as a customer, and things just start falling in your lap. And then she called me last night and said, I need to talk about building this business. and it's just things fall into your lap. And
Yeah.
I really attribute a lot of that to the grounding and the energy
Yeah.
and being open to receiving it.
Exactly. Just being in alignment. I mean,
Mhm.
I love talking with you because if I could just instill one thing into people, it's like, just forget about the numbers, forget about the haves, tos, and the should haves and the could haves, just personal development, get into your alignment, and you will just attract it. You will create it. And it's just going to show up and fall in your lap, just like you did. I mean, this week I had 3 people reach out to me out of the blue and go, my gosh, I heard you're into these stem cells, patches. You know, I need to have more information. I'm like, how much easier can that get? Thank you.
Right. Yes. And then it becomes exciting.
It does.
It's, you know, there is, I don't go anywhere. As you got, I don't know if you guys can see my name tag. I'm open for business. And this is an April Vaughn thing. I had this made. Post office, grocery store, Walmart, Target. I wear my name tag. I wear it because I want people to ask me the question. And it's so funny because I watch people sometimes. I was at this restaurant the other day, and I was watching the guy in front of me. He was trying so hard to read what my name tag said. But it becomes exciting when you do. Hopefully this will become your passion. You know, everyone that's on here, you know, this is about helping people.
Mm-hmm.
When we can help people, God is going to bless all the actions, whether or not we help them or not. We just have to ask. That's all. That's the action. The action is asking, sharing. They may not. Most people don't. You'll get to where you'll chuckle about it because it cracks me up when people tell me no. Okay.
So Michelle's asking if she could see that name tag again.
Yes.
And do you remember where April gets those? I forget.
Amazon. I can forward
Oh, seriously?
you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can forward you the link. And it just says on the top, activate your stem cells. There's about 20 color choices in my name. And then regenerative health specialist. Does anybody know what that is? Because I don't.
Regenerative health specialist. Yeah, to
Regenerative
rejuvenate,
health
man.
specialist. I don't know what it is.
It's
I know one thing. It says nothing and it says everything.
Yeah, it's to rejuvenate, right? Everybody wants to feel rejuvenated. I like that.
People go, what is that? I'm like, I have no idea, but it feels amazing.
Yeah. So it says stem cell. What's on the top again?
It says activate your stem cells.
Activate your stem cells.
Then your name. And then I put regenerative health specialist. You can put whatever you want on there.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot.
But yeah, I'll send you the link. It's Amazon, and there's about 20 color combinations.
Nice, nice. Now earlier, I'm going to let you answer this, and if you want to. So somebody said they wanted to know if by any chance is the group with Dr. Stasney, the reading group, is that open to everybody? Can we get on it? I know we can't answer that questions for you guys because that is up to Dr. Stasney because she is leading that group. But Leah, if you want to, could you just reach out and just let me know if she is opening it? If so, then we could maybe offer that up into Telegram. But she might want to keep it small, guys, just for her team. You've got to understand that, nice and intimate. But if she does want to open it to everybody else, we'll definitely share that link within Telegram. Okay.
Well, she did. It is open to her senior directors and above.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So it is, you know, hopefully, again, we're trying to build leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got people on my team. They want to be a leader, but they don't want to learn to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find yourself going about it at the wrong ways. You know, we want to help people become leaders because we want to help people lead people, and help people heal. Because the more we can do that, we know we're helping more people heal.
Yeah. Yep. Hallelujah. Absolutely. So, but guys, if you want, you can always create your own, group or reading group as well, with your team, your friends, people on, here on Lifewave. You could just tell everybody on Telegram, hey, I'd like to open up a reading group, and then just have maybe, just figure out what books there are, any one of the good inspirational, motivational speakers, such as Simon Sinek. What's the really boastful guy, tall, huge guy? I mean,
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. He also has some very good books too. And then Mel Robbins, she's also really good. So there's a lot out there, but I know Simon said generally he is about leadership. And I know Leah, you had some there today, strictly about leadership. The Servant, I think that's basically about leadership, correct?
It is. It is. This is one of my most favorite books. Like, this is the one where I could not wait to go outside with this book to see what Simeon was going to teach for the day.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I love it when that book just, you can't wait to get your hands on it. Just like
and that's huge for me, because that's never been me.
Yeah.
That's never been me. The books, I have cabinets full of books. I've got cabinets full of leisure reading books. I hope someday, girl, we're going to be sitting at the house in Cabo, watching the sun rise out of the ocean, reading our leisure reading books. But right now, we're reading this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think more than ever now in this time and age that we're in, everyone feels better if they are of service to the humankind. And if you're not in service, guys, find a way of being service. You will feel fulfilled. And being a leader is one way to be of service, to help others understand themselves and to move through their obstacles. Because you got to remember, a lot of programming has always gone down that there's always something wrong, right? There's something wrong with you. You're not exactly how I want you to be, and if just for a moment, even if ourselves, if you just think, what if nothing's wrong with me? Nothing. I'm perfect right where I am at. Man, does that go ahead, just let go of a lot of weight off those shoulders. Nothing's wrong with me, get rid of that, that programming, the words from whomever in our past.
Well, so, and you can be the leader that you are. You don't have to be a Wendy leader or a Leah leader or a Dr. Stasney. I don't want to be a Dr. Stasney. Like, I don't want to be in that head. Like, she's got so much information, you guys, but that's been another freeing thing, is being able to be me. Like, what you see, it's what you get. Like, and it's so freeing, and it's easy.
Yeah.
It's
easy.
I
love that. Yeah. Be you. Fall in love with you, and everybody will fall in love with you too.
And if they don't, that's okay. Let them go fall in love with someone else.
Exactly.
That's all we want. Find your people.
Exactly. So anything that you would like to, so everybody here, it is like 2 minutes after the hour, and Leah, we're going to let her go a little bit before quarter after the hour because she has another appointment. So if anybody would like to come forth, raise your hand. And if there's a question for her, for whatever advice that she may have, let's try to keep it to her story and to her experiences. Not necessarily about patching or about certain, conditions. Let's leave that for other conversations for Dr. Stacy's Q&A day, which is later on today. But if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and come forth and definitely ask your question. So with that, anything else that you can think of, Leah? So I know you listen to Abraham Hicks, you read some books, and I know you do take time in prayer, meditation. Yes.
I do. That is one of the first things, a gratitude journal, you guys. This is I'm grateful for, period, of every little thing, all the little things, the amazing cup of coffee this morning, or whatever makes me feel gratitude in that moment. Another little thing that I am doing, again, Dr. Stacy said, do this. I said, absolutely. I'm working on this. Yes. So this is my book that it's a journal. Mm-hmm. And I've picked, there's 5 areas that I am going to write as if I'm standing at December 31st, 2023, giving gratitude for all of the things that have happened in these months.
That is excellent.
And so one of them is my business. So I'll be grateful for my senior presidential director in my business, right? Just calling those things out. One about, me personally, my self-care, my body. That's huge. I wish I had felt like 30 years ago, my body is a temple, because it is. Family, what is, relationship wise. So that's something I'm doing. It's part of, being grateful every day, my Jesus calling. This is my little go-to book that I sit and do my few meditation, my gratitudes, and then I do go meditate.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But I at least try to quiet my mind,
Mhm.
just to not think a thought, which is not always easy. It's not easy. It takes, some training, but I do that. That's been huge too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a practice. I too have gone in and out of it. And I just came back from a retreat and the leader, she actually shared if anybody's trying to actually meditate, because I know so many people go, I just can't meditate. And she says, you just focus on your breathing and you count your breaths and you try to get to 10 breaths that you're counting. So you go 1, 2, the washing. Oh, you thought of something else. Go back to 1 and just keep doing that. And eventually you're going to find yourself getting to 10 breaths and then 12 and then 20 and then 30 and then 50. And you're like, wow, this is amazing. And it does feel, it has an essence of peace definitely in it. So we don't have currently any questions. So I'm just going to keep talking to you. So you start your day with lemon water as you know, I do as well. And, of course, probably what you take your aminos, I would presume maybe your probios or something, or what's your morning start off with, love?
Well, I do. My lemon water has got a shot of apple cider vinegar in it, cayenne pepper, and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt.
Yeah.
And then I'll do my cup of coffee. I do the ghee with the MCT oil and chocolate greens. And I'll drink on that for 4 hours. Just my day starts. It depends if I've got calls with my teams. I've got a lot of things going on right now with different people. I'm surprising a team in College Station tomorrow, and I just sprung that on her. Actually, because I had forgotten about it. I've got a meeting there tomorrow, so they're excited, trying to pull together a little thing. So yeah, it's just I've got probably 4 or 5 people I talk to daily on my teams, trying to help them, and that again, that can consume a lot of it. But again, got to make time for my business as well, and reaching out to my people. So that's on my goal today, is to sit and message. I said my goal I wrote down this morning was 6 people a day I was going to send a message to for 5 days. So that's my goal this week. And now, of course, that's in addition to all the people I talk to, but that was just a new method of me expanding, reaching out into a friends list, mutual friends list.
Well, that is beautiful. But what I like is what guys really point out, that Leah takes time for her. If she's not complete and taken care of and doing the things that she knows that nurtures her, she's not going to be able to be there for her team. So I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that. So that's so beautiful.
It's part of the routine. And I love routine. I traveled for a couple of weeks doing events with my teams, and I was out of my routine, but I'm happy to be back in my routine, working out again. That's super important.
Yeah.
Super important.
It really is. And thank God for X39, because I started working out just recently and I'm like, I'm going to die and I'm not dying. Well, I did a little bit because I overdid it in one exercise. So we do have a question for you. So let's see who, I got to scroll it up, guys. Hang on, give me a minute. So Janice, she says, when you're wearing that name tag and you're out and about and someone says, hey, what's that? What is your response? Do you give them information? You give them a card? Tell her about your experience, et cetera, et cetera. How do you handle that?
I guess depending on what they say, if they ask me, what is it, I would say, I'm turning my stem cells back on in my body, keeping it simple, simple. I don't want to share too much, because that's going to probably intrigue them. And then it would lead to, for my question is not, what do you know about stem cells? My question is, are you familiar with what stem cells do for our bodies? And, because a lot of people don't know anything about stem cells. They're like, no. And well, stem cell, so it depends on, you kind of gauge it, but I want to eventually give them my card, which has the website on it that they can scan the QR code, make it simple. I always have cards with me for sure.
Mhm.
But it's just about developing a relationship,
Mhm.
you know. Ask them what's going on with them. You'd be surprised that people will share their laundry list of issues.
So there's the listening part again, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mhm. So do you ever get anybody's information, or do you always just give them your card and just let it be?
If stood there long enough and talked with them and got to share, if someone is trying to go,
Mhm.
or if someone is engaged with you, right? I think that you feel like that frequency with them. I would, say, I would love to send you a invite tonight to the Dr. Stacy call. Let me get your number. And, I would definitely, if it's that situation, but if not, I'll just give them my card, and that goes back to the alignment. If it's their time to be blessed with this, they will reach back out. If not, that's okay. I have plenty of business cards to give out.
Yeah, seriously. And those are the new business cards, I presume, that are from like the biz.com.
No, I actually designed my own and uploaded
Okay.
them and did them at vistaprint.com.
Okay. And just use that
Yeah.
QR code for the
Yeah, I made my
the
QR code.
now.com.
Yeah, it goes to let's see if I had one here close. It goes to Start X39 now. Here's what my business card looks like.
Okay, now, okay, I see. Over in the corner. Very nice.
Yeah, and then I've got and I just recently changed it. The back of it is now going to be the what to expect.
Okay.
The 1 to 3 weeks list.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really good call. I like that one too. Girl, thank you so much for coming on here sooner. I know I was going to have you come on or later this summer as it was anyway. You didn't know it, but I was going to bring you on. But thank you for coming in last minute. I really appreciate you being here. I can't wait to see you in a little over a month and a half.
I know. Well, hopefully I'll see you in Tampa, and then definitely hopefully in Houston.
I won't be able to make Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, not going to be able to make that one. Unfortunately, we got prom and everything else going on.
Oh, that's right. It is that time of year.
Yep, it's that time of year, and we're senior this year, so this is the last of it.
Oh, good. Light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. She's believe me, she doesn't see the light, but she's like, because she's homeschooled, so she's doing everything on her own pace. And then she's realized her pace should have been a lot faster for the previous part of the year. So yeah, she'll be happy when it's done.
It'll be fun to watch her go through the next stages in her life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she's already know what she wants to do. And she's already signed on with Lifewave. And she says, she goes, I just know it's going to work. She goes, bring the money in with Lifewave and do what I love to do. And I'm like, all right, girl, you go.
Hey, entrepreneurs, that's what we need.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, Leah. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome, girl. Always love hanging out with you. I hope everyone has an amazing afternoon.
All right. Take care, love.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.